Kim Hamill. East Folk Alliance. East Folk Hills Rural. Alliance.
Here.
John Stokes. Four Creeks. Great Brush Prairie, Jeff Cox. Heritage, Cat, Montgomery. Maple Tree, Jordan Johnson. Meadowville, Roger. Northeast Hazelden.
I'm here. So am I. Sorry?
It's up to the right.
There we go.
And the board has stars beside it.
Ooh. North Salmon Creek. Debbie Through.
Debbie's online.
There she is. Yeah.
Say hi, Debbie, without being muted. There you go.
Joy.
Yeah.
From Stone.
Kurt's here.
Richfield Junction. Sherwood Health. Yay. Whoops. Judy. Brewer. Sunnyside. Where? Truman. West Hazelville. Here. Narrowly.
I am here.
Clark County Sheriff.
Present.
Oh, sorry.
Online.
Who's online?
Jim.
Jim Hansen.
Jim Hansen. Sorry,
Sure.
Jim, I'll write your name in. Jim Hansen. Glenn Young. Michelle Belcock. Karen Bowden. Gary McGeechy. That's my diamond. Hugh Marshall. Kathleen Otto. Julie Rawls. Oh, in person, yeah. Hey, good to see you. You too. Haley McLaughlin Burton, who is Clark County Public Works Public Information Officer. Nope, she didn't have anything.
Nope, she is out until the end of the month.
That completes the roll call.
Okay. Well, Tim, is there anything from the sheriff's office this month?
Sure. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Jim Hansen. I'm the Undersheriff. I send you greetings from Sheriff Horch. He is in Spokane, Washington this week, attending a leadership training with the FBI. And he was very excited looking at the agenda and some of the materials that they were going to be covering. I'm sure we'll be in a position to maybe share some of that with you in one of your future meetings. What I'd like to do is maybe just hit on kind of a few quick points for you, and then I'd be happy to answer whatever questions you may have. We can't let an opportunity to go by without mentioning one of the greatest issues that we've faced now and have for some time, and that's staffing. And so the sheriff's office, I know it comes as no surprise to anyone in the room or listening online. The sheriff's office continues to be understaffed. We are the lowest staffed sheriff's office in the state of Washington. We have been before council both last year and the year before, and I'm happy to tell you that they have aided us with granting us some additional FTEs, some full-time equivalents or some positions. We can't hire additional staff without the council agreeing to fund those positions, and so they have been very helpful of late the last couple of years. We do intend to for the 2025 budget, we do intend to submit a request to county council to increase yet again our staffing, and we are working as well on a proposal for a more long-term increase to staffing. And I'll kind of comment on that quickly, but I want to kind of address one of the primary questions that comes up, and that is we have had difficulty filling the existing positions that we have. So why in the world would you be asking for more positions? And so let me address that. It's really counterintuitive, but the answer is that hiring in this industry is very, very different than any industry I've been in before. And I came to the sheriff's office as a second career. I spent 30 years in the private sector as an executive. And we have, because we are the lowest staffed sheriff's office in the state of Washington, that's no secret to people out there who aspire to be police officers. And they understand that being understaffed, that we are having to mandatory people in and make them work overtime to cover basic functions. And by announcing to the industry, if we were successful with the council and they were to authorize, say, an additional 20 positions, 20 new deputy positions. And by the way, if they authorize that, what that would do is that would on an officer per 1,000 basis, that would bring us back up to where we were in the early 2000s. It would take 30 new deputies to bring us up to the average sheriff's office staffing in the state of Washington. And so we're really hopeful that we'll have some success there. And by announcing that to the industry, we will actually get an increased number of applicants because they will know that the county is standing behind the sheriff's office and that they will more likely be able to join an agency that isn't forcing too many deputies to come in and work overtime when those are hours that they prefer to be at home with their families or pursuing their social interests. So just kind of a quick recap of our hiring rates. In 2022, and these are positions throughout the sheriff's office, so not just enforcement. In 2022, we hired 16 positions, but we had 55 separations from the agency. I'll come back and comment on that in just a moment. In 2023, we hired 35 positions, but we lost 22 positions. That's between people who quit, people who retired. The unfortunate circumstance is on occasion we do have to fire people for cause, as you would imagine. In 2024, year to date through July, we've hired 24 positions, but we've only had 9 separations. And so what I'd like to do just quickly is to kind of accentuate the positive. If we look at the numbers of people who have left the agency, in 2022, that was 55. In 2023, that was 22. In 2024, that's dropped down to 9 through mid-year. This is a huge success story. I think it speaks volumes to the pendulum kind of swinging the other way. We went through what I kind of refer to as the George Floyd years. There was a very, very negative perception cast on law enforcement throughout the United States, certainly throughout Washington. And we saw huge numbers of police officers leaving law enforcement, and that was true at the sheriff's office. Many of them quit because they didn't want to do this job under circumstances where they believed that they had lost the public's support and kind of admiration for what it is that they do. Many others back in 2022, many others they quit the sheriff's office, but what they really did was they quit Washington State, and they went on to get jobs in Idaho, Texas, Arizona, Florida, places where public perception and support of law enforcement remained very, very high. And so they left Washington State, and they just frankly went places where they believed that they could work under circumstances where they had greater support. So during that time in 2023, as you know, we got a new sheriff. Sheriff Horch has been pressing the executive team to work very, very hard at making the Clark County Sheriff's Office a place where people want to stay and work, and where people want to come to work. And I think that we've gone from 55 terminations down to 22 terminations, down to 9 terminations. It's just an amazing success story. I happened to be at our West Precinct out in Ridgefield. At 6 p.m. tonight, we started a recruiting seminar, and we advertised that through Facebook and Instagram and various social media accounts, through our website. We set up seating, and if you've been to our classroom out at West Precinct, you know that the seating is generally around 35 to 40 people. And as I left and came in to address this group, we had over 55 people. It's standing room only. I wish I could kind of show you. They're standing in the aisles, and they're standing in the back of the room and flowing out into the lobby at our West Precinct. This is another sign that pendulum is really swinging the other way. People are wanting to come into law enforcement again, and they're perceiving that the public, particularly here in Clark County, is supportive of law enforcement. And so we are extremely hopeful that we are turning a corner, and that we're going to be in a position to really kind of get over the hump and solve this longstanding staffing problem. So I'll just hit on a couple of other quick items. The sheriff is seeking through the council and the county manager's office. We desperately need a new facility for the sheriff's office to work out of. We work beneath the jail currently in the basement. The sheriff's office is understaffed as we are, bulging at the seams. We have staff that are separated from the headquarters and work in various locations, both downtown and out in the county. The sheriff would like to have what it is that the vast majority of sheriff's offices have in the state, and that is a headquarters, one roof, one agency, where we can have the entirety of our agency working together. The synergy and the communication that creates, we've seen over and over and over again as we visited other sheriff's offices. That has a profound impact on the working conditions of the folks who work for the sheriff's office. So I expect that you will continue to hear more about that as the sheriff begins to speak more and more publicly about the need for a facility. The county does have the intention of expanding the jail, and it's our understanding that eventually, we don't know how soon, but eventually we will be asked to vacate the basement of the jail. I won't be sad when that day comes. However, we don't know where it is that we're going. There's no place that's been identified yet. And so that's ranks, in addition to staffing, that ranks one of the sheriff's highest priorities. I'd like to then kind of transition and just kind of talk with you quickly, maybe a little bit more about where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. And that is our patrol function and our enforcement function and what we're doing out on the street. The sheriff tries to attend as many neighborhood association meetings as he has. You may know, or hopefully you've seen invitations where he's done some community events out in the community over the last couple of years. Those have been well attended. And the one thing that he told me and reminded me that he hears over and over and over again is traffic complaints, people speeding, people talking on the phone. We know that this is a very significant issue for our community, and it's a matter that we are stressing. We did, when we lost all of those positions back in 2022, we were in crisis mode, and very frankly, proactive policing took a huge hit because we just frankly didn't have the staff to really serve our primary function of just simply responding to 911 calls. And with all of this hiring that we're doing and the success that we're seeing, the sheriff's intention is to add to the traffic unit and create what I will call, and these are my words, not his, but what I would call a more traditional traffic unit that is comprised not only of traffic homicide detectives, which we have at present, but also additional deputies who are out proactively working patrol proactively. These aren't deputies who are responding to 911 calls, but rather they're dedicated to the traffic unit and dedicated to going out and proactively working speed complaints and all of those things that we hear about, people talking on the phone and reckless driving, speeding through school zones. So I can assure you it's something that the sheriff takes very, very sincerely takes to heart and has a plan to address that. The other one is retail thefts. It's not uncommon for many citizens in Clark County to have observed people loading shopping carts full of merchandise and just walking out the door. 20 years ago, retail staff would have gone out and tackled those people and held them down until the police come. A lot has changed. There's fewer police officers to come. And so many of those retailers got sued for excessive force and for violation of constitutional rights. And unfortunately, what has happened is that most of those loss prevention departments within those retail establishments, and we're talking about all the big box stores certainly are included, they now have a hands-off policy. And this, I think the combination of a significant departure of police officers in our agency and throughout the state back in 2022, combined with what was a fairly negative view being kind of broadcast on what policing is and who police officers are and how they do their job, created this spike in crime across the board. We know that shoplifting is up. We know that auto theft has skyrocketed. Juvenile crime in particular has skyrocketed. Not only are there more juveniles committing crime for reasons that we don't quite understand yet, perhaps related to COVID, and they're not being in school, and we don't know that for sure. But juveniles have become more violent in the crimes that they're committing, and so we expect that are going out and very proactively doing several of the, and I hope you've seen our promotion of our retail theft stings. They've been remarkably productive. We've arrested dozens and dozens of people. Just last week, we arrested a very prolific organized retail theft suspect who we'd been looking for quite some time. And that message is getting out. It's getting out into the subculture, those people who do this for a living and we're getting great reviews on social media from the public who really appreciate that work. And so we're proud of the work that the men and women are doing in terms of kind of addressing that issue. And I will close with this, and I greatly appreciate your time and your kind of patiently listening to me. I will close with the fact that we have now a new regional police academy here in Clark County. We're very, very proud of that. We had 4 new deputies graduate from that first class in May of this year. There's a new class going on right now. We have 10 brand new deputies in that class. We're currently recruiting for a new class that will start in November. We have upwards of 30 or so applicants that we're going to be getting through the testing process. And we had a young lady just 2 weeks ago who came in and applied. And in applying, she described herself as a young mother, a single mother who wants to be a police officer. And she said that the creation of the local academy here and the elimination of the requirements that should she had been hired to go up and to be in Berrien for the 5 months of the academy, she said that's a non-starter. She never would have been able to consider going into law enforcement under the old circumstance. And now with this regional academy being located here, she's applied, and we're very, very much hoping that she gets through the testing process. And that's exactly part of the reason why. And we're also hoping to get an increasing number of people who are the various representatives of our community applying and attending a regional academy as opposed to having going up to Berrien. So with that, I'm going to stop. I appreciate your attention, and I'm happy to answer if any questions, if you might have any.
Jim, I have a question for you, just for a point of reference. How many officers do you currently have? You told us how many you're kind of adding. How many total do you have?
We're budgeted for 157, and we presently have 20 openings. And I'll tell you, at our current budgeted, and I'll expand just quickly on that question or on that answer. At our fully budgeted rate, we would have get this right here. We would have 0.57 deputies per 1,000, and the average in the state is 0.80 deputies per 1,000. So you can see we're significantly below. Even if we had those 20 positions added, we're significantly below where we feel that we should be and where we need to be.
Good question. And that is, do those figures include the officers that are assigned to the jail?
No, the county made the decision a couple of years ago. It was announced in mid 2022 that the county was going to exercise its authority and separate the jail from the sheriff's office. That has occurred in a few other counties in the state. And what happens is that the jail then became a department within the county, reporting up to the county manager's office. So they are now an entirely separate entity from the sheriff's office.
Just a follow-up question on that one, and that would be, there was 2 separate unions, the jail, the staff of the jail, and also, I guess, patrols. Are there any other unions, or is there just one?
We have for the sheriff's office, and we call them guilds here. It's the same as a union for the most part, I guess. But so we have a deputy sheriff guild, and then we have the sergeants belong to the same guild as the deputies. We have a small number of commanders, and the commanders have their own guild. So that becomes a second guild, if you will, within the sheriff's office. Then we have a support guild, and that's for the, the sheriff's office has the enforcement branch and we have the support branch. We're beginning to call them the professional staff. Those are the records people who process warrants and civil papers and move outs and all of those things. And they have their own guild as well.
All right, thank you.
One question, what's the status of the SROs, the school resource officers, and how is that going to be affected by your current hiring policy?
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. We had to terminate the SRO position program largely because as the crisis hit in kind of full force in 2023 after all of those separations in 2022, and then was exacerbated with, as I said, quite a few departures in 2023. What we ended up doing was kind of borrowing a term, we kind of robbed from Peter to pay Paul, and so we pulled deputies from quite a number of specialty units, including the SRO program, so that we could simply get them out on the road and responding to 911 calls. It was an unpleasant process to go through, a difficult decision for the sheriff, to be sure. And so I'm very happy and very proud to tell you that just a couple of weeks ago, we reinvigorated the SRO program. We have Deputy Quiggle, who is back in the schools, working as an SRO, school resource officer. What's very exciting, I think, for us and for her is that she's a former school teacher who decided to become a cop. And so having kind of earned her keep, so to speak, and having gone through all of the training and FTO and been out on the road for a significant period of time now, she's taking her talents as a police officer, combining those with her former profession as a teacher, and so she's in the schools. That's just one. We need to expand that program. Part of the issue there is that we ask the schools to share the cost of those positions, so that we are not depleting patrol positions. And the schools, you may know, a few of them have budget issues that they're dealing with. And at least this year, we're interested in, but unable to commit to helping us fund the SRO program in their schools. And so we hope to see that. We are prepared to provide deputies and get back into the schools where we weren't able to in 2022 and 2023. So it's, this one is a huge start, and we're hoping to get back into that program.
Okay, well, thank you, Jim.
One more, one question. So I think the city is going for funding to cover their police department. Some sort of initiative coming up this fall. Does that impact the CCSO at all?
Yeah, I can see that you're towards the back of the room, and I'm getting a lot of feedback. I think it's because maybe you're so far away from the microphone. Could somebody help?
Yeah, I'll repeat the question for you. The question was, the city is going forward with a proposal on the ballot to increase funding, to increase our number of officers. Is that going to have any type of an impact on CCSO if it passes?
Yes, it will have. We're kind of referring to it as the downstream effects, and so the support branch, who processes warrants for arrest and processes court paperwork. There's certain duties that are prescribed by law to be the sheriff's office work. And so an increase in the number of police officers, that what Vancouver has proposed, to the public, and that you'll see on the ballot in November, is they have proposed adding 80 police officers. And so that will have an impact on the sheriff's office, particularly as it relates to the records unit. And we are carefully trying to evaluate in a responsible manner exactly what we expect that impact to be. We don't want to unnecessarily overstate it, but we want to, we don't want to exaggerate it, but we want to be careful that we don't underestimate either. And we've informed the council that should that ballot measure pass in November, then it's very likely that we would need to come around and ask for additional support staff. I do want to recognize that while Vancouver is asking the public, the taxpayers, to fund 80 additional police officers, they're actually asking, and I haven't seen the ballot measure yet, but what I've been told in meetings is that they are projecting the increase of police officers to take place at a staggered level over a 6-year period. And so something along the lines of 12 police officers to be added the first year, 12 the second year, 12 the third year, and so on. And so kind of following that logic, we would expect that the initial impact of 12 officers wouldn't be significant, but we would need to plan for the eventual impact of there having 80 additional officers over a 6-year period.
Okay. Julie, do you have anything to report?
I've got something to share. I'm interested in. I'm sorry, this doesn't play well for people on there at home, but this was just coming to the court, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I want to share with you guys.
Jim, you're welcome to stay in the meeting, but if you have other stuff to do, you're also welcome to excuse yourself.
I really appreciate that. I'm going to go down the hallway and join the recruiting meeting and see what I can do to get 30 or 40 or 50 of the people in the room to actually follow through and apply. So I'm going to run down the hall and attend to those duties. I will. I know that the discussion is going to be captured, and we will follow through. And should I miss anything by having stepped out, we'll be attentive to what the discussion was in my absence. So thank you very much for your courtesy, for your really good questions, and I sure appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. I handed this out. I just saw it this morning on my computer, and the ship is in port now, and I don't know that they've started unloading yet, but it's just such a massive vessel coming down the river. I just had to share it with you guys.
Where are they all going? Do you know?
So I asked that. They said our wind manager said that they are all going to the 40-mile wind project in Alberta. So again, they're going up to Canada. And the Canadians love bringing these blades into the port because they can't get them over the mountains if they come into port of Prince Rupert. They can't make it over the mountains there. And it's literally only apparently a 4% grade difference between Vancouver and Alberta. It's so flat through the gorge. And so they just love bringing the blades in here. But what's really amazing, if you look at the very bottom photo on the left, where it really shows the close-up of the wheelhouse, the people who are in charge of this ship, which is the river pilots, can't see what they're doing. They cannot see over the load, which is just incredible. So, so they're really using a lot of, equipment on board and to figure out where they're going. And the river pilots say that between Astoria and Vancouver, they make 82 course corrections to make it down that river. So it's pretty incredible voyage, especially when you can't really see where you're going and you've got to go under bridges. So I just wanted to share that. I thought it was a neat
There's not a
story.
lot of clearance
Yeah,
under that
lovely.
bridge either.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
how long is that gonna be in port?
you know, they unload so quickly, it's crazy because when I tell everybody when they come to the port, time is money. And our head of marine services says the only ship making money is a moving ship. So whenever they're
Yeah.
stopped, they're losing money. So
Sure.
they will have this unloaded, I'm guessing within about 4 or 5 days.
So
And
do they truck the blades or?
they all go out to our terminal 5 and they're stored there until they're ready to go out. And then they will all be loaded onto special trucks and trailers that will take them out. But yeah, and they'll be on their way to Alberta. I think I heard that it takes us 6 months to move these all. So you'll see them probably going through town at different intervals, but just interesting. I rarely see a ship this large and
It almost looks like a hotel, so.
Yeah.
That's what I
I
thought it was.
thought it was. It was
Yeah.
a Yeah.
Moving apartment blocks.
We had a bunch of staff who ran down to the port over the weekend to get some pictures of it. So anyway, I have to share that. So the only other things I wanted to tell you were that the Zoom Info project is opening September 19th at the waterfront. And so those are those 2 huge buildings that have gone up right across the street from the AC Marriott. And Zoom Info, you know, pledged to bring 3,000 employees down to the waterfront. So I'll be interested to see if they're going to start moving in right away or what's happening there. But we've all been invited to the opening of the buildings on September 19th. So we'll see how that goes. And I have 2 more tours this summer and then they're done. And I did one, I don't know, Judy, a week or 2 ago, and Judy was there. I looked out in the audience, there was Judy, so it was great to see a face I knew. Has everyone here been to the port?
I've been a while.
Julie does a great job. Wow, it was tremendous.
It was a great tour.
Oh, good. Well, anytime, if you guys ever think you want to, you know, I've said as a group, if you want to come, we've got a touring van that seats 11 adults. So I will take anybody out who wants to go see what's happening. And other than that, I think that's about it. I looked on our vessel schedule today and we've got a lot of grain ships coming through, which is, you know, nothing too unusual. And a lot of Subarus coming through too. But anyway, that's it. I really just kind of wanted to share that blade ship.
It's very impressive. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Do you have any openings on the 2 tours that are left?
No, they're all full. Yep.
I was curious
about where some of those 3,000 new workers are going to live. Well, they're all current, you know, apparently they're current employees.
Okay.
Whether they're bringing some in regionally, I don't know. But they all wanted to relocate now at the waterfront. They want to be in the, you know, snazzy. So they're just moving. Yeah, so they're just kind of moving.
From where?
They're downtown.
Oh, they are
Yeah.
downtown already. Okay,
Yeah,
it's not a.
right.
Julie, is there any discussion, especially since he's going to Canada, is there any discussion about painting the turbines black? Canadians I love that.
Yeah, I
They-
saw that. If you guys
They
didn't
see
see that
it for the birds.
story, just one of the, just one blade. Huh?
Yeah.
Would be painted black. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to ask about that.
Yeah.
I love that might be a solution to birds being killed.
Yeah.
Bats are a problem too, you know. But yeah, I'll have to ask.
Well, it's not the bats that are the problem, it's the blades.
Yeah, the blades are the problem. The poor bats seem to be attracted to their movement.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, thanks you guys.
Okay.
Could I just check, a couple of people have joined the meeting, and Gary, are you from the East Polk Alliance?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Gary.
Art Stubbs.
Right. Thank you.
Remember where you live, then.
Nancy didn't tell me.
Oh, come on, Art.
All right.
Okay, so I guess then we go to Merrill Lee for
Hey.
the next section.
I've got Share the screen.
with Steensville now.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's what she
At
was
least
waiting
somebody
for.
knows.
Yeah.
Oh, we got rid of it?
So here are the current numbers of what I have. I had another spreadsheet, which I saved in my most recent, but my most recent stays in my computer that I'm working on, not on this one. So I wasn't able to locate it for right now. But,
Gosh, Richfield and Brush Prairie.
Will you be sending that out to us, Marilee, so that we can kind of keep
I can
track of things?
yeah, I can send the other one out to you when I get back to my desk at home so that I can get the other ones. But this one has, and I'd like to get some corrections from the neighborhoods too. I've got the number of meetings per year, a guesstimate on what that used to be. And I started doing this back in 2020, back when we started meeting after COVID. So this is probably not completely accurate on the number of meetings per year. So that should be checked. I know, I
Yeah,
do.
West Hazelville meets 6 times a year, so. we're kind of-
Yeah, it's gotten way more active than it was.
What's that very last column, Marilee? Can't see what the head.
The last column is who the counselor, what district.
Oh, I see, okay.
The group is in.
Uh-huh.
And so that's who the counselor is. And so we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that are split, that have multiple districts. And then you'll notice this is alphabetical. We did receive a notification from Cheryl Berkey. She gave a valiant effort trying to get some people to volunteer to take over the board, and she was not successful. And so Truman has gone inactive as of last month, which is too bad. I'm going to continue to try to get that area active again, because now we have that whole lower area of Andreessen, Minnehaha, Truman, and Rhodes End that's right there up above SR 500 that has no neighborhood leadership and no neighborhood voice. And there's a lot going on right in that area that needs to have a neighborhood voice. We're gonna
Just because my eyes aren't very good, could you read the headings on the second or third column?
frequency of meetings and to take this.
I think it's the household numbers.
I think it's cultural.
Yeah, household
Yeah.
2020.
And this actually should be 2024. This is updated to
Oh,
2020.
okay, so it's showing the increase.
Yeah. And some went down.
Yeah, a few of them went down.
Well, it actually was.
Well, I think in our case, it's not because of the changing the boundary. right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's usually because of changing the boundary. And in Sunnyside's case, it was because of splitting the neighborhood.
Right.
It's definitely not because of a lower number of development, because they've got stuff going on all over the place in that area. Guys, lots of townhomes and stuff. So, yeah, I can send this out after I get this updated, but I had,
Although, for Sunnyside and Turtle Creek, even if you add those two together, there's a decrease of about 5% in the number of households between 2020 and now.
yeah, and I'm not sure why that is. I'm not entirely well. No, it's 30,
It's
a
63,
couple hundred.
yeah. About 400 households less, give or take.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna be sending some reminders out. We've got a couple neighborhoods that need to have meetings, so they'll be inactive as well. And we're looking at the neighborhoods that actually are the most active are the ones that are in this 3,000, 2,500 to 3,500 group are the ones that are being more successful with connectivity of the people at the meetings. So we're going to continue to watch that. We had a lot of comments at the ice cream social at Debbie's meeting. I'll let her talk about that. Of people wanting to meet in person on Saturdays or Sundays, more social hour type of things. They were asking for more of that from her group. And I don't know if that's the way that it is. Every single group has a different kind of vibe to it. So that's not necessarily going to be the way that it is for every single one of the groups.
Mary, I had a question about that household number also. So that's like residences or actual households. Is there any kind of population estimate that actually goes along with it from the census or anything like that? Or
this actually isn't the population or the household number. This is the number that's on the mailing list. So this isn't the number that I got from GIS. This is the number that I've got on the mailing list. So it may not be exactly right for how many households there are, because some of them might be doubled up.
So it's not apartments merely, just single family homes?
There are apartments on there, the way that I run, but some of them are going to be double, because the way that I run, I actually just had a meeting with GIS about this. Actually, GIS, the assessor's office, and the auditor's office about how they enter the addresses, because to be able to reach renters and owners, if I was just going to mail out, when they mail out your property tax statements, they just mail it out to your mailing address. And that's a simple thing to do. They just mail it out to your mailing address. If we want to reach the owner and we want to reach the renter, then I have to pull the site address and the mailing address and merge it. And what happens is I get this really messy conglomeration, because some of it is entered as Northeast 78th Street, and some of it is NE 78th ST. And so Excel will not remove duplicates that way, because they aren't duplicate. And so I have to manually go through and remove the duplicates, and it takes me about 3 to 4 hours to do a mailing list, which is really painful. So I only do them about every second or third mailing when I do the mail outs, because there's just not enough time to do them every single time there's a mail out. But GIS is going to work with me to try to do something. They have something they think that's a suggestion that might make it a little bit easier for me. They remove some of the duplicates, because the assessor's office, their challenge with it is when they receive the title for something, however the title states the address, that's what they have to type into the record for county. So if so it has to match exactly. So they can't go in and correct it as the mailing address, as what the USPS mailing address is, but the mailing address they're trying to enter as the mailing address, so they're never ever going to match up, ever. It gave me a headache. We only had a half an hour meeting, and I had a headache by the time we were done, because it's like, nope, we're never going to be able to help you. Thanks for playing by. But we're still going to work on trying to make it somewhat easier. GIS stepped up, and they're going to try to help me do something about it. But I will be getting, after we finalize a few more things, I'm going to get GIS numbers, because GIS can give me a number of actual rooftops in each one of these boundaries. Really, and I'll get the GIS number for those. And that's the number I'll put in the final list for a report that I intend to do to the council after the first of the year. And the other, and the other one I was going to share, I already shared with the board. So there were a couple of instances at the end, in the middle of this year, where postcards didn't get mailed out. basically because I took a couple days off and then I had a eye surgery and things just got crazy. So to make things so they don't get crazy, now this is, well, it's still crazy, but so it's, the craziness is tracked. This spreadsheet is showing like from the start to the end, some of the tasks. I still have a couple more tasks I need to put on here. What needs to be done for the meetings? The meeting space is confirmed. The postcard draft is sent out. The Zoom link is is created. The Outlook calendar is created, and that means that the sheriff and your counselor is invited to it. Then after the postcard is confirmed, then it goes to the print shop, and I'm putting the date that it's going to the print shop in this so that I know that it's done. After it goes to the print shop, then it also goes on your webpage so that it's a referral for the people that are in your neighborhood. Will be able to see it on the webpage. And I also put a blurb about the meeting information on the webpage at the same time. And then one of the things I was forgetting to do, I put on there taking the information off of the webpage after the meeting, because that was kind of embarrassing. One of them was like 6 months old of a meeting that had passed, and it was still on there because I didn't have a reminder to take that off. So now I go in on this at the start of every week and make sure that I've got everything for the week done that I need to have done on each one of these upcoming meetings. So this also shows me, it's a way that I can also show you at the meetings of what is coming up and what's coming up this next week. Northeast Hazel Dell is happening on Wednesday. They are having Washington State University's Master Gardeners come and talk about how to prepare your garden for winter, winterize your garden for winter. On Sunday, the 15th, Meadowglade is having ice cream social. That's gonna be out of the Adventist church complex. On the 18th, Four Creeks is meeting, and that's a public safety complex. West Precinct, out by the fairgrounds. They meet at 7 p.m. and that is going to be on comp plan update. Oliver and Jose will be out there doing comp plan update. On the 19th, the Lighted Community is going to be meeting at Thomas Jefferson Middle School. And they are having a guest of the composting program that is going to come in and talk about the composting program. And I think the solid waste program is going to be coming along with them as well. On the 24th, so Shalanchi Prairie is meeting up at Amboy Church of Nazarene at 7 p.m. They are going to do household fire safety with Cressa 911 and Fire District 10. There will be a fire extinguisher demonstration outdoors on that, where people will be able to use a fire extinguisher and learn how to use a fire extinguisher. And West Hazel Dell is meeting on the 26th, and they are having emergency preparedness with Jody Blackwood, who does a fabulous presentation. I just talked to her about your presentation. I saw her at Costco on Sunday.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
And Northeast Hazel Dell's meeting again on the 9th, and we're having, I just set it up too. We're having Greg Kimsey talk about elections on October 9th, and that will be here at 6:30. And Pleasant Highlands on the 10th, I just confirmed we are going to do senior tax exemptions and senior emergency preparedness with the Commission on Aging.
Fire department, can you get your fire extinguishers filled?
Not at the fire department.
Yeah.
Not the
They
fire
won't
department.
take on that liability, you have to have it done.
Do you know
Safety
where?
supply store. Yeah, I checked exactly.
They can tell you whether it needs to be refilled or not, but they won't refill it.
Oh, and they can test them?
They don't test them, they'll look at them and say, yeah, you need to refill it.
Well,
That's
then
as
yeah,
far
we
as they
gotta
go.
look at it, see that it's You have no pressure.
What they can always, one
Or
thing
you
they-
don't need to bother with the fire department, just go get it refilled, if there's no pressure.
one thing they can do, they can tell you if your fire extinguisher can be refilled, or if it's considered disposable.
Oh, and some of them are, aren't they?
Correct.
Some of them are just like $15-20, and once you use them, you just.
And even in my experience, the rookie, I even tried to test one, and
Yeah.
then you break the seal, and then over time, even though it's full, the pressure is lost.
Oh, I didn't know
There's
that.
a.
Yes,
there's a
don't
little
test your fire
test that Once it's
extinguishers.
broken, it's.
Just have faith that they'll work.
Oh, so that's good to know.
Yeah. I thought, well, let's just test it and then put it away. And then after a few months, I saw that it was.
Wow. Beverly, what was that, senior tax exemptions and what else?
And senior emergency preparedness. Jody does a presentation that's specifically geared towards senior emergency preparedness.
It looks like we might get a fall meeting scheduled, she can hold you right away, and I mean, dates set up, so you got a pretty easy.
Yeah, I can fit them in. I'm trying to only do 2 a week. Because I'm way behind on following up on getting the recordings posted. Because I don't have enough time in the office to get the follow-up stuff done.
No.
If I get too many evening
Lot of
meetings
steps.
scheduled.
Yeah. You went off before you got to Sunnyside, you have, how's that going?
I have yours scheduled. I have yours confirmed if
Okay.
I recall correctly.
Yes. Fire department and hopefully a fire engine.
And I don't know if I can get they weren't sure about the fire engine, but I believe that we can get fires. Because that was out in October, so I didn't go quite that far.
Okay, thank you.
I haven't forgotten.
Okay.
And we wanted to make sure that everybody knew that for our October meeting, everybody's everybody's welcome. With Greg Kimsey talking about elections, we wanted to, everybody knows that you're open and you can attend the meeting, but we wanted to make sure everybody,
What was the date of that?
October 9th.
Thank you.
I'll send out something to everybody that has all of that stuff on it, that tells what's coming up. And then we had a short discussion. I've got handouts for those that are here. I'll send it out. I'll send out the electronic copy, to those that aren't here. See if I can share this. I made one actually made 2 of these, but I've only got one that was easy to get to. The board had talked about having navigation for how to get around on MapsOnline. So I did cheat sheets for both. This one was for when we had the Map Your Neighborhood program, for how to just map your neighborhood, and got handouts for everybody else. And I've got this electronically too. And so in going through it kind of quickly, this just kind of is going through how you can put an address into the property information center, and then what's going to come up, and that you can go to MapsOnline from there. A lot of people don't realize that you can go to MapsOnline directly from the property information center. You can go to MapsOnline, and then it's going to show you the parcel on MapsOnline. This one, as an example, I just used 1300 Franklin. So it's showing an outline of this. And it's going to show, if you want to make a broader view of the neighborhood, like if you're trying to get an example of an area so that you can send something to Public Works and put a star on something and say, this intersection is a problem. You can hit this little minus button that's down here at the bottom of the screen. You can hit the minus button, and you can see that on this screen it's larger, And then you hit the minus button and it's showing a broader view. And then if you want to print a map of this, then there is a print map button that's up here on this toolbar. And it's going to come up with this screen. I highly recommend you put a title in here and that you put a date in the section, because otherwise I used to not put dates on here and I have a whole bunch of maps in the file that don't have dates on them, and it's really frustrating because things change on the map and you won't know when it got printed if you don't put a date on there. So whatever you fill in here is going to show up on the map, and then a screen's going to pop up that says map is created successfully, and it's going to have a link for the map that shows, it's a funky little thing right there. And then when you click on it, it's going to show up on your screen. And then you have choices where you can download it or you can just print it. If you don't need to save it and you're just going to use it, and you just want to print it and hand it to somebody, you can just print it. If you want to download it, then you can name it and save it. But the name that you put in there is going to show up here on the top of this. And then your notes that you put in there are going to be down here. And you have quite a lot of text to put on there. And you can actually put on there, you can put John Smith on Salmon Road is complaining about raccoons in the backyard. And you can make sure that you have a note on there of why you pulled that map up. And that's really handy to have when you look at this later.
That really is a sweet little program, and people don't use it enough. Will you send this little wonderful thing to us as a PDF?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
And then the other one that I have on here is how to go on MapsOnline to look at your neighborhood association boundaries. And there's a really easy way to do this, and there's a more difficult way to do this. And I put the difficult way to do it last, but I put the easy way to do it first on the handout. So the easiest way to do this is to go onto the GIS website and click on QuickMaps. And when you click on QuickMaps, for some reason that is just really hard for me to say, it's going to come up with this first main screen, which is going to give you a list of all the different kinds of quick maps that there are. And go to the categories and click on neighborhoods. And then it's going to give you all of the neighborhood maps in alphabetical order. And if you're only looking for a printable version of the map, on these neighborhood maps, it's giving you a MapsOnline version or a PDF version. So if you want a quick printout version of your neighborhood, click on the PDF, and a PDF version is going to pop up, and you've got a PDF version all ready to go. Also, if you want an additional large format, if you want a big 36 by 48, you can shoot that off to J2 or any of the other print shops, and it's ready. It's already formatted to print 36 by 48 if you wanted to get a bigger map, an extra one printed out. Because I can only do one a year for each one of you guys. But if you wanted an extra one that you wanted to draw on, you can send it off. It's not very expensive. It's under $15, I think.
How much?
I think it's around $15. I don't think it's very expensive. If you want to have it laminated, it starts getting more expensive. But and if you are going to draw on it a lot, I would recommend that you get it and laminate it, and then you can draw on it all you want with dry erase markers. But if you want to use the MapsOnline function, then you click on, instead of going through all the hard ways to get to the MapsOnline version of your neighborhood, click on the MapsOnline version, and then it's going to pop right up on MapsOnline and right on your neighborhood. And so you've got it right there on your screen already. And so on this side, this left-hand side of the screen, it has what is called layers. And those are the different things that you can add to the map to figure out different things that are going on underneath of the layers. On this one, this is Meadow Glade. I clicked on a city boundary. And so it popped up with the dark line of the battleground. And it's also showing battleground shaded dark gray. And it's also showing this cream color is the urban growth area. So that you can see that that's encroaching on that neighborhood. I clicked on the school district and the private schools and public schools, and it shows that there's only one school district and there's only 2 private schools in the area. I clicked on sewer district boundaries, and it shows that you've got within the neighborhood boundaries, you've got 2 different areas. Some of them are not being serviced, it doesn't look like. And that is pretty common when you go out in the rural area. Water district, everything looked like it was the same pretty much for water district. You can even look up what the waste collection day is on the GIS system, which is pretty awesome. And it looks like in Meadow Glade, everybody has Friday. And this is kind of an interesting thing to look at for your neighborhoods. If you're going to have discussions about things like garbage collections, which I remember, I think we had a hot topic with that in Rhodes End or Truman when they switched stuff over.
Well, and when they changed stuff
over, we had kind of a hostile meeting when they did that. And if you have everybody on the same, if you're thinking about increasing an area, this is something to kind of look at, because then you're going to have a different crew in your group. So it's something to think about. And then another layer that's on here is imagery, and then it gives you another view of your neighborhood. This is showing more of the trees. It's harder to see the property boundaries when you go into imagery, but it's really helpful if somebody's talking about a tree or a tree line, or I get a lot of calls about trees, and it makes it a lot easier to be able to tell what's going on when you look at the imagery. And so
on the trees, just be careful with shadows. A lot of times the shadows
can be
make it
really
look bigger than it is. Yeah.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
It definitely does. And so then I've got the harder way to look this up on here. I added it on here. I don't recommend going this way because when I tried to do it this way, it wasn't working today. There's different things that they do to the system, and it'll cause glitches, and then it blocks doing it this way. And how it should have worked today, it didn't work for me, because you're supposed to be able to zoom to map on the neighborhood, and it wouldn't zoom to the map for me today.
Marilee, is this run by the county?
GIS, yes.
Okay.
But GIS, like I said, with the layers, they're doing a lot of adjustments to it all the time, because they're always adding new things and adding new features and adding new houses. And so whenever they do another layer or in addition to the layers, it'll cause a little roll or a ripple. And sometimes stuff won't work for an hour or two, or sometimes a day or two. And then I've got the instructions again on how to print the map at the end of this one as well. So I will send both of these out to everyone so that you've got the cheat sheets on how to get in there and get that information. And Jody will be, if you have Jody from Cressa coming out to talk to any of you on the emergency preparedness, she will be talking about the neighborhood function of getting to know your neighbors. And that first mapping tool is a good tool to use if you start talking to your neighbors
who is living close to you, and you use that map to mark up and put telephone numbers down so that you know who to contact and who has dogs and who has oxygen tanks and all of that sort of thing, all that good stuff. And I think that that's all I've got. For now,
Okay.
anyway.
We have a little bit of time for roundtable. Does anybody have?
Just real close, we're working for our next meeting as well. We met today and now we're gonna work with the church to figure out which one of those days. Have that, yeah, hopefully we'll have that finished up.
October?
Yeah, October,
Okay,
possibly, yeah.
all right, we'll get you down on the schedule.
I had just a quick comment. I wanted to thank Beverly for your help with public works and just facilitating some things that I called you about on my road and homeless camp removals, that kind of thing. So
You're welcome. I'm glad we were able to get that fixed.
yeah, very, very nice response. I got you involved.
So nasty mess.
Yeah.
Debbie, Debbie,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to report a little bit about our ice cream social. It turned out really well. The weather wasn't as nice as we were hoping, but Mary Lee brought the table and the cooler, and we bought some ice cream, and we had about 40 people show up. Then I did a sign up email, or Mary Lee brought it, and people signed up, and I entered it into MailChimp. And then I sent them a little message thanking them for coming and talking about our new, our next meeting and our boundaries and that kind of stuff. Because a lot of people didn't even know what a neighborhood association was, or some of them knew a lot, but they didn't know that we were active. So anyway, it turned out really nice, and I'm just learning MailChimp, and so far I like it. It takes me a little while to figure out everything, but I've got another one. Merrily at the ice cream social, she sent out a national good, or printed out and gave it to me, National Good Neighborhood Day. And so that's going to be my next campaign, probably later this week. I've got it all drafted. I'm just still trying to get the agenda ready for our next meeting. So, and then that will go out to I have 49 people signed up for our email. However, some of them are you guys, so so you may not have actually signed up. I put you on there. just so just so that in case you wanted me to send you any notices, I could do that. So anyway, that's all I have.
okay, that's great.
She had to leave though. She had to leave and go buy more ice cream. She ran out of ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's,
I love it. That's perfect. Yeah.
yeah, I want.
Where was it at?
I was just going to mention that, of course, Sun River High School has started classes again, and I've been getting phone calls. I just told them to call the Lighted Neighborhood Association. It's not my problem anymore. So we'll see if they do or not. It's the same, we got signs all over our neighborhood that says don't park here between 7 and 3 all through the school year, but it doesn't matter. The school does not have enough parking. They never have, and they don't seem to think of it as a priority. So both Bridget and I are representatives on the Vancouver School District Citizens Committee. So a couple of things that were brought up by Jim Hansen tonight, I think may be discussed at the next meeting.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, Pleasant Valley Middle School was where they had it. Which I got confused on because it has a Vancouver address, so I was trying to contact the Vancouver School District and they didn't
No,
bother
it's
to
part of the
answer.
battleground.
Yeah, and they didn't even bother to answer me, and so I was like, what?
That's why
and
they don't talk to each
and then I found out that I was contacting the right folks.
Yeah.
Would have been nice if they would have sent me an email back that said this is in our
Yeah,
district.
wrong number, yeah. Up there.
Oh,
Oh,
Gary.
Hey, Gary.
There we go. Get
You got
unmuted.
Yeah.
I've been a little out of touch the last couple of months. Some of it planned, some of it unplanned. But what I'm noticing in the neighborhood is some activity on the part of Xfinity with signs and even like doorknob hangers. Probably can't see it, but about work on extending the internet services. And the notices are really about, yeah, we may be crossing your easements and that kind of thing. What I'm wondering, and the questions are going to be about where, is it definitive where they're extending the cable lines, the fiber lines to? Because in some cases, probably in my case, maybe they'll only get within a 1/10 of a mile, but I'm still getting notices. When people ask about that, is there some way to know, is it defined where they're going to be running lines to? That's one question. And then the other is, if they run lines to those areas, what happens after that if it doesn't come clear to your property?
That may be a question for Public Works.
Okay. Does
I
that come
don't
up?
think I don't think they work with Public Works much. Let me find out, because I know they've been talking to communications. So let me check with Johnny.
Yeah,
Because they were wanting to talk to you guys. They want to talk to somebody from the neighborhoods on an interview. And I'd sent something out to you guys.
Yeah, I did see that. I was like out in the wilderness in Alaska, Marilee. When I saw your email, I couldn't get back to you. Is that
Nope.
Is that too late? Is it still relevant?
I'll find out, but I'll also find out if it's not going to be up to your doorstep. I mean, is it going to be $8,000 to run it to where your house is? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't answer that question, but I'll find out.
Yeah, people are going to want to know. This kind of came up even, I don't know, almost a year ago, because there were some surveys going on that we never did nail down who was surveying. I have a feeling it was related to this fiber optic extension. And we were never able to find out, either from talking to the PUD or the county or Public Works. You know, I mean, I still don't know if that's related, but now that we're getting all these postings, either by signs or by doorknob hangers, the more I can find out about that, it's going to be helpful when those questions start pouring in about what's happening. And it's good news. I mean, we're definitely short of high-speed internet out in the rural North County. So I want to make sure people are able to take advantage of it, even if they have to pay something out of pocket. Just knowing kind of what's going on and how close the lines are going to come would be helpful.
So there was federal funding for expanding internet access to rural areas. There's been a work group working on it. I don't think it's a direct county work group, so I'm not sure who set it up, but they have been plans and they did want input from the community. So I'd see if I can track down the name. I know
Okay.
Chris Goberdan is on the group.
Was there a question? I didn't, I was talking over you a little bit.
Bridget is saying there's some kind of a broadband committee. Chris Sobadan is on it. So
like that.
I'll check with the policy analyst would be the person I think that handles those
Okay.
committees.
Yeah,
Committees.
Okay.
Oh, it's not a county committee?
I think it's a state committee.
Oh, it's a
State.
state committee.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I've been trying to track ever since the surveyors were up on some of the properties in my neighborhood, I've been checking with every agency I could think of to try to determine, was it power, was it power lines? Was it internet? Was it, I mean, we had no idea what it was and still don't. I just kind of assumed the county would be in the loop on it. But if not, what agency would we talk to?
So Gary, there's also the PPNL line, high voltage line from Merwin or one of the dams up there that goes and cuts across the SR 14. I think goes through your neighborhood association and mine now. And so I see that's perking up again.
Oh, is it? Okay. Maybe that was the survey that was happening.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely for high voltage line though. So and it would be PPNL branded, not the internet. So it may be totally separate, but you may want to watch for both those things.
Yeah, I think we checked into that somehow. We also checked in with Bonneville Power, which what we heard was that's still a dead issue, from years ago. So we're not really sure. Yeah, we're not really sure if PPNL is still part of it or
So there's been some notices of easement work and surveying and stuff that has gone out in regards to that just in the last month. And so it may be coming back up again.
Okay. Would Clark PUD be in the know on that?
You would think they would know about it. I don't think they need to give their permission necessarily because it's PPNL easement and PPNL dam and infrastructure.
And would that somehow be related to power needs in our area, or they're just passing through to some other area? Do you know?
Back 10 years when that was flaring up, it sounded like it was more of a pass-through.
Oh, that was all going down to California.
Yeah,
California, okay.
You weren't getting any of the power, just the hazard.
Yeah, okay. Well, they're sure keeping it a secret so far.
Probably because of what happened.
They got pushed back last time, so.
Yeah.
Well,
'Cause
yeah,
that was-
people are ready to push back if they find out more information, for sure.
That was what got Pleasant Highlands active last time, and we couldn't meet at the fire station anymore because Stephen had too many people there. And we've got the fire marshal after us.
The fire station. Good place to be out of compliance.
Yeah. Capture.
Okay, that's all I had.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. I'll follow up on those couple of questions.
Okay, thanks.
We just got one more ice cream thing happening Sunday, and then we're done with the ice cream stuff for this year, I think.
Who's doing that one?
Roger. For Meadowblade.
So weather will.
It's gonna be inside in the cafeteria, so, and they were talking about having pie too. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Was that it for neighborhood news? If so, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So, second.
I guess the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Been right on time. Thank you.
I think it was bigger with which the motion was made.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
Let's see if we'll just.